pandas are bears. They're not. Profitability isn't the goal, service is, and so long as the USPS provides a crucial service, it stands as a perfect example of why government exists in the first place, and we're not in some kind of anarcho-capitalist society. So go help keep the post office going, buy some stamps, send your grandma a postcard. Shout out to my grandma. I should send her a postcard with USPS. That would be good. That would be a good thing for me to do. But yeah, anyway, big shout out to the USPS for the great work that they do. All right, so we're going to talk now about what some of the progressives out there, Ro Khanna and Elizabeth Warren, are doing for an essential worker Bill of Rights. How about that? So Senator Elizabeth Warren and Representative Ro Khanna's proposal, unveiled Monday for an essential workers Bill of Rights, is being cheered by leading progressive organizations who are demanding the next coronavirus relief package take care of those on the front lines of this pandemic. So, yeah. And I think it's something that you really got to do. I think it's something that really you could probably find a lot of support from people who don't necessarily consider themselves progressives. So it should be simple. The frontline workers who risk their lives to keep Americans healthy and safe deserve to be protected as well. That's what the Essential Workers Bill of Rights Act would ensure, said Angel Padilla, the National Policy Director of the Indivisible Project. But as we saw with the first responders who risked their lives on 9/11, it took Congress a full decade before it provided them with the health care they so desperately needed. It should not make the same mistake twice. So it's pretty simple. Workplace health protections, hazard pay, paid sick leave, paid family leave, free health care. Done. Stamp it right away. So that's something that's going on in Congress right now. The new proposal for the group, including healthcare workers, food service workers, domestic workers, janitorial staff, and farm workers, comes to the U.S. remains as in the epicenter of the epidemic, with over 568,000 confirmed coronavirus cases and 21,000 deaths. President Trump is under fire for his handling of the outbreak as his administration continues to threaten the safety of workers and public health of all Americans, with its focus on reopening the economy. So this crisis needs to open our eyes to the value of workers who are often invisible, and we need to give them the pay and benefits they deserve. And I think it's going to be really interesting for us as Americans to see, because we kind of did this in the same way after like 9/11. It very kind of it harkens back to the era of supporting the troops. The kind of fad we went through like during the period of the Iraq War, post 9/11, like we need to support the troops at all costs. These things, these gestures of support, like we've always had a respect for our troops, as any country has, and any country should, a deep respect and gratitude for those who have served, obviously. But it kind of reached a new kind of obsessive phase in the wake of the 9/11 attacks in the Iraq War and the huge burst of militarism and jingoism that we saw in this country. And we really, honestly, we did a lot of shows of support for them that were really artificial, and the whole salute of "thank you for your service, sir." And it's really kind of, I see a lot of similarities to what's happening now with that. I see a lot of similarities to what's happening now with these healthcare workers. Like people for example, in England are standing outside their doors and like clapping for healthcare workers, and workers in their wonderful NHS system, but that doesn't do much for them at all. Like they need to be taken care of, and they need to have the protective equipment, they need to have the gear that they need, workplace protections for all these essential workers, not even just healthcare workers, but all these people. There's a healthcare worker I saw a video of who's like, I've eaten a lot of pizza in the past few weeks, but all I want is some healthcare. So yeah, here's this clip of this guy who's a New York State EMT worker, talking to the news, I believe PBS, and being like, "Hey, it's kind of a very similar situation that I see, like the kind of the valorization of the troops by the kind of the average public, and the public is like they're showing their support, but there's really only so much they can do. They can't single-handedly give these people healthcare, but I guess that kind of relies on the government. But here's this. This is Adam Blyden. Oh, I apologize. Okay. I just realized that was not going through. My bad. Yeah, we're gonna have to rewind that there. This is again Adam Blyden of apologize. Had a little bit of technical issues there. Yeah, so this is him. I saw this originally on John Oliver.
Something you might assume he has.
Right now, I'm doing all of this with no health insurance.
How is that possible? It doesn't come through the job.
The job doesn't offer it, and our affordable marketplaces aren't very affordable. If I get sick and, I go get tested positive, I can't go to the hospital. People come out and they show us the support, and I love it. I've eaten so much pizza in the last 2 weeks. It's been great. I don't need pizza. I need to be able to pay my bills. I need to be able to work a 40-hour work week and live like a normal human being.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's pretty simple. Like, and not to say that, like, I mean, I know it's like people out there who have been taking part in these healthcare appreciation shows of appreciation for healthcare workers. Like, I mean, I totally get what you're doing, but it's like we got to maybe focus our energies maybe into more kind of a antagonistic, more kind of activistic lens if we really want to be helping these people. Because if we give them all the pizza they want, like that doesn't really help them pay the bills, feed their family when they get sick, which they very well could. Like, the guy you just heard there, he's an EMT. Like, are we going to actually help them? Like, what are we going to do? Like, we did so many shows of support for the troops. A lot of them were driven by big like the Department of Defense, like big government and military industrial complex arms and branches. But in the end, like, how many veterans are sleeping out there homeless, sleeping on the streets, committing suicide? Like, we didn't really have their backs when it counted. And it really was kind of shameful. And the director of the Indivisible Project made the reference to what's it called? 9/11 workers. It's the same thing. They did so much, and we showed their support. Thank you to the first responders. Thank you to the troops. We love you. You're the best. Like, that's all well and good, but when it comes down to actually helping those people, do we really have their backs? I don't think so. Like, we just cannot do the same thing to these healthcare workers. So that's why it's good to see them at least making some sort of action in this direction. So, yeah, I do want to talk to this statistic here, really kind of pretty crazy. The nationwide lockdown to stem the rise of the coronavirus has one silver lining. March 2020 was the first March since 2002, without a school shooting. So that means every March that I've been alive, there has been a school shooting. It's really depressing here on multiple levels. It's one of those stats that really just tears at you and hits you really where it hurts on multiple levels. It's wow. So schools around the country were ordered or recommended closed in mid-March in an attempt to stem the spread of the disease, which had already infected a reported 576,695 Americans so far and killed 23,000. All it took was a pandemic and closing all the schools, tweeted Bloomberg editor Mark Gongloff. Shelter-in-place orders have been issued in some cities and states, including New York City, which is a big hotspot. A lot of people going to school there. When my 7-year-old heard talk our state was going to lockdown, he looked stricken. I realized that was a word he had learned at school shootings drills. I had to explain that we weren't under fire. So many abnormal normals these kids are expected to adapt to, such as activist and journalist Naomi Klein. Despite the absence of school shootings in March, gun sales were the second highest on record, leading gun control advocates to fear there may be a spike in killings once the lockdown ends. So yeah, I mean, it's really kind of people, I mean, you think you're preparing for the apocalypse, you're like, I want to buy a gun, please, like, just give me a gun, I don't know what's going to happen, we're entering Looney Town here, like, what is, like, we're going off our rockers, like, I need a gun to protect myself and my family, but it's like that is just a incredibly depressing statistic, and guys, I'm kind of sorry, the rest of the show doesn't get that much better. We're talking about some political action when we get back. But first, this message. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for listening to programming from the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. It really means a lot. So if you like what you're hearing, please consider supporting us by checking out our merch store available on Spreaker.com/TSWS. The link for it is there. Also, if you like what you're hearing, feel free to leave us a review on wherever or however you listen. You can do it on Spreaker by leaving a positive comment, and of course on iTunes by rating and reviewing us 5 stars, and on whatever possible program or site that you listen to SWRN on. Leave a nice review, leave a good comment, let us know your feedback, and also if it's negative too, I always welcome constructive feedback. Thank you so much for listening, and now let's get back to your show. Alright everybody, we have about half a show left for you here today. We're going to be talking about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden uniting. I'm going to give my take on that, what I'm going to do, what I think you should do. Honestly, do whatever you want, I don't really care. Also, what Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, said on the matter. Talking about the need to defend Rashida Tlaib. Also, we take a trip, a promised trip, across the pond, and we do get to a lot of that fun stuff, and we don't really get to do that a lot. I've been in contact with our wonderful UK correspondent, who I'm dying to get back on the show for some reason at some point or another. Andy Cowles, our good friend over there across the pond in London, who's actually, he told me today, is literally lives in the same neighborhood as the new leader of Labour, Keir Starmer, who, I doubt I'm saying that name right, Keir, who's just been elected the new leader of the Labour Party over there after Jeremy Corbyn's demise. So, and yeah, it was celebrated by a lot of people, as we will talk about later on. So, stick around for that. But first, a sad day also for the left here in America. Senator Bernie Sanders officially endorsed Joe Biden for president on Monday, joining the former vice president as a surprise guest on a live stream hosted online. "We must come together to defeat the most dangerous president in history," tweeted Sanders, announcing his appearance with Biden and referencing the president, Donald Trump. Today, Sanders said to Biden during the broadcast, "I'm asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse." So wait for all the complaints. Bernie just backstabbed Biden. He's the reason why we got Trump. Like, it's so hard, I think, for a lot of left-wing people, a lot of Bernie Sanders supporting people to come together around Joe Biden, because we've seen the way we've been treated by not just Joe Biden, which has been pretty crappy as well. He's lied to us. He's said some pretty just galling things and really shown that he does not care about any left-wing parties and care about the parties of the base. And polls show a lot of people support Bernie Sanders' policies, but have just been told time and time again by the media that and just by the established political culture, the established conventional wisdom, that what you want, what is there in so many other countries in the world, is not possible for you for some reason. And people, like, the left really has still struggled, obviously, to break that spell yet. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. But it's really, really hard for Bernie Sanders supporters to come around Joe Biden for that reason, and for a lot of other reasons, especially the fact that he has been accused credibly of sexual assault by Tara Reid, as we talked about a few shows ago. Like, that is something that should not be ignored by anyone, because it is incredibly disturbing, incredibly awful, especially the way the media has covered for him, and waited literally until Bernie Sanders has dropped from the race to start talking about it. Last night, for example, MSNBC reported allegations as just in that had already been out for nearly 20 plus days at this point. Like, they just figured out about it now, like literally the week after Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race. But it's really kind of unconscionable the way that he has dealt with the left so far. For his big proposal of support, his big show of unity towards the left wing of the party has been so far a proposal to lower the age of Medicare from 65 to 60, which is 5 years older than Hillary Clinton's literally Hillary Clinton, and she hated Bernie, as we well know. So that kind of shows you